I fucking hate mindless Bayverse haters. Their constant need to nitpick every single detail when it comes to the Michael Bay Transformers films is absolutely obnoxious, whether it be whining about various characters having no personality, or mindlessly bitching about the most inoffensive of sexual jokes and innuendos within these films like a bunch of sad, spasticated shitheads. But most of all, I'm sick and tired of hearing complaints about Sentinel Prime being a bad antagonist. And that's why I'm here today, to give my take as to why Sentinel Prime is actually a good villain. So without further ado, this is my video in defense of Sentinel Prime. But before I begin, I feel as though I should give a small bit of exposition before I present my reasoning as to why I personally like Sentinel Prime. Sentinel Prime is the main antagonist of Transformers Dark of the Moon. Made in 2011, it was the third entry into the Transformers films from director Michael Bay. It's no secret to anyone that these films are almost universally despised. Now, despite my admitted bias in favor of these films, I can admit that some of the reasons why people hate these films do hold the slightest bit of weight. However, Sentinel Prime being a shit villain? Yeah, no, that's where I have to strongly disagree, and these are my reasons as to why. Now, the only genuine reason I'm aware of as to why people dislike Sentinel Prime is quite petty, to say the least. And what would that reason be? Simple. He killed Ironhide. If I can be blunt, boo fucking who? An antagonist did what an antagonist is supposed to do. Make you hate them. Killing one of the only characters in the Michael Bay Transformers films that people consistently liked? Yeah, that counts. You're literally complaining that an antagonist is being an antagonist. If you find yourself angered by the fact that Sentinel Prime killed Ironhide, good. That means that Sentinel is an effective villain. And honestly, if I could continue talking about other things that work in this scene, Sentinel is one of the few twist villains that I actually like. His twist feels so organic, and while you could argue it feels a bit out of nowhere, despite the fact that when Sentinel was first awakened, he immediately attacks Optimus Prime.
Sentinel!
But even after his betrayal, he doesn't act in a way where his character is completely changed. Hell, at the end of the film, right before Optimus kills him, he even tries to make Optimus understand why he betrayed the Autobots.
Optimus, all I ever wanted was the survival of our race. You must see why I had to betray you.
He's less of a vile villain viciously violating all life on Earth, and more of a misguided Autobot who just wanted to ensure the survival of his planet and his people. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if the same people who whine about Sentinel are also the same fuckers who suck MCU Thanos' dick till it fucking shines. Granted, now the sympathetic villain is arguably kind of overdone. Hell, even I sometimes just want a villain whose motivation just comes down to But back in 2011, it had yet to be run into the ground, at least for me. And part of what makes Sentinel interesting is the fact that he has a decent motivation, but his method of achieving his goal is incredibly flawed. Like, sure, he isn't the best example of this sort of antagonist, but he isn't an incompetent one either. The literal worst thing I could say about Sentinel Prime as a villain is that he is a bit generic, but even then, he isn't generic enough to be genuinely insulting. To summarize, no, I don't think Sentinel Prime is a bad villain in the slightest. As a matter of fact, he's the closest the Michael Bay films came to having a truly interesting villain. He isn't perfect by any means, but he is far from sucking. And that brings this video to a close. This is the Absolute Degenerate saying, peace out, everyone.